Hey guys, today I'm kicking off a new series which essentially is commentary of a breakdown of my mythic raid kills. Arguably this is a little late since the raid has now been out for quite some time, but I guess better late than never. So I have a few things in mind with the series. I hope to bring a targeted guide for Elemental Shamans, breaking down my tactics as a player, while highlighting how to maximize your DPS and performance to help you and your guild secure a kill or improve your farm. So I will briefly cover talents, azerite traits, stats, and essences in this video. This is not an in-depth guide, nor is this guide for beginners, but instead an overview, mainly commentary of my guild's kills, with this one being of Mythic Sivara. Down the road, I may do a beginner guide for Elemental Shaman, but that's definitely a future me's problem. I hope you guys enjoy. Before I jump into commentary, I wanted to take a look at the build that I was running specifically for this fight, which is Abyssal Commander Sivara. This is a standard build for Elemental Shamans, especially in today's current meta. I will be using the standard Ice Fury build, which includes Echo of the Elements, Totem Mastery, Spirit Wolf, Master of the Elements, Windrush Totem, Ice Fury, and Stormkeeper, respectively. For essences, I am running Condensed Life Force as a major, and Crucible of Flame and Conflict and Stripe as both of my minor slots. For azerite traits, I am running Triple Igneous Potential, which is a must in all circumstances, and then I'm running an odd mixture of traits, including Thunderous Blast, Natural Harmony, and Undulating Tides. And then when it comes to stat weights, it's pretty strict, especially with this tier due to benthic gear. But I was aiming to be crit and verse heavy with small amounts of haste tied in, but I was avoiding mastery at all costs. You can actually see my stats during the fight. I'm rocking about 30% crit, 13% haste, 29 mastery, and 19% verse. But without further ado, let's jump into this commentary. All right. So before I jump into this, I do want to mention two quick things. I want to first talk about our composition. This is a pretty good comp because we're heavy range. We also have that Demon Hunter for that magic buff, but we are going to lack a little bit of melee DPS or physical damage because we're lacking a warrior. So that Demon Hunter is what we're looking for. And then our stat weights are actually, before pull, we're looking at about 28 crit, 11 haste, 25 mastery, and 16 verse, like I mentioned before. We are rocking our versatility food buff to get that extra like 1%. Because verse is one of our best stats and crit, especially for this encounter. We're not really looking too much haste, and obviously mastery we're going to avoid at all costs. So let's jump in here. So our standard opener will be typically a Stormkeeper into Totems, into Lava Burst, into Flame Shock, which you'll actually see here. So I do this thing where I start to put down Totems, but that's just me. But also, quickly before we jump in, this is a pretty fast-paced fight, so I will be talking probably extremely quickly, so I apologize for that. And if I say a lot of ums and uhs, just disregard that. You're not my college communications professor. So let's jump in. So about 6 seconds here is when we're casting our Stormkeeper, as you can see, followed up by Totems, followed up by Pre-Pop, followed up by Lava Burst into our Flame Shot for pull. We're finding our side. We got Toxic, which is perfect. So we're casting our instant cast spells, both Condensed Life Force and Elemental. We're getting our Earthshock off. We're going back into a Lava Burst, into a Flame Shock reset, and then this is huge. This is very important. Here we're casting our Ice Fury and getting our procs. So one thing we do want to pay attention to on this fight is our debuff. So we got Toxic. There's also Frozen over here, the Frost. So we are splitting into two separate sides. So we got Poison over here, Frost over here. We don't want to touch her. We're going to set off rate white damage. And this is the other thing we're going to want to pay attention to is our marks. So this is going to be a stacking debuff, which is going to consistently make us take more damage, and we will want to reset that throughout the fight, and we do that by taking damage of the opposite school. So if you're Toxic, you take frost damage, and vice versa. So without further ado, we're going to get started. Like I said, that Ice Fury is big because when Crushing Reverberation comes out, we're going to be, not that it's a lot of damage, but it's the fact that it does knock us back and interrupt casts. So we're going to use this window to maintain our uptime on the boss. So there's the knockback. I'm still hitting those Ice Furies, as you can see here. I'm spending those casts. I'm using instant casts. And essentially, for most of this fight, all you're doing is building and dumping as soon as possible. So here, at the very start of the fight, we're actually going to have our players who are debuffed go to the opposite side, and this is so we can reset our stacks. If poison's on this side, we won't be able to without crossing, and vice versa. So we're going to try to swap sides. Our Hunter actually shits the bed here. It gets almost one shot, and our Warlock takes a pretty big hit, but we're going to battle rush him pretty quickly here to maintain that DPS because we're trying to push this boss down as quick as possible. So again, now I'm just kind of building and spending. we're going to be looking out for this Overwhelming Barrage, which is coming out. Now, these are going to send spikes out from the boss randomly. So as you can see, they come out pretty much in random order every time, so you never really know. Now, because I have Toxic and Frost is pointed at me, I'm going to make sure I'm avoiding these at all costs because I don't want to, first off, reset my stacks. Mainly that resetting is an issue, but if enough people get hit, it's going to be too much radioactive damage and we will wipe here. So I do my best to avoid those using my instant cast windows, which is huge in this fight. Reverberation's coming back out. I'm using those instant cast procs to keep those up times. Now, Toxic Javelin isn't going to affect us in this encounter, so it's nothing we have to really worry about, but when Inversion comes out here in a second, we are going to need to properly spread. So our Shadow Priest is able to solo soak this, which is totally fine. Inversion, we're going to spread here, again using those instant cast windows, our Flame Shocks, our Frost Shocks, to maintain uptime. So you're going to see that consistent damage. I am at the top right now around 57k. Crushing Reverberation, I don't do a good job here with instant cast, but that's all right. One's not going to hurt. And I'm going to wait to move. And I did have to reset here because, well, I got hit, but also my stacks are pretty high. But again, instant cast windows are huge for the movement on this fight. So our stacks are back up to 2. Again, we're just spending and dumping, pretty standard. And then we are going to be soaking here. So this is just something you're going to want to pay attention towards. So stacks are going to get high. Our raid lead's actually calling for people to drop, so they're staggered because we don't want to put out too much damage. It's pretty much going to be consistent damage the entire encounter. So again, we are going to, 2 minutes into the encounter, we're going to put back down our totems. And then again, Overwhelming Barrage, so we're going to be using these instant cast windows with our Ice Furies and our Stormkeepers to dodge these. So we found a little hole here, a window. A few people got hit. We're going to drop Blink to stay secure. I have 6 stacks. I'm not going to look to drop these yet because Inversion will be coming out soon. Again, so we're just spending and dumping. We already pre-potted. You're pretty much going to pre-pot as soon as your Stormkeeper comes up. Inversion comes out. I do get it here. I'm not going to move right away, though. I'm going to wait for this Ice Fury cast to go off before I move, because I want to, again, use these instant cast windows to maintain uptime. So here, I'm casting Flame Shock, I'm casting Frost Shock, I'm casting Lava Burst procs, I'm casting Earth Shock, I'm casting Fire Elemental, and I'm dropping my stacks to reset. We did lose our one of our Druids here, which isn't too much of an issue. We don't have a Battle Rest because it is a pretty short encounter. Again, we're dodging spikes. We're not going to reset, even though I already reset. I didn't want to get hit, though. Crushing Reverberation, I am now not doing a great job at every reverberation that comes out. I'm not doing a great job at keeping that uptime, but that's probably the one critique I have for this fight. And then again, you're pretty much just using this stuff on cooldown. Frozen Blood comes up. This is the side that you don't want because you have to move more than you want to as a shaman. But again, instant cast windows are incredibly helpful, so I'm able to strafe back and forth. Actually, our Druid here did get frozen for 8 seconds because he wasn't moving, which is kind of unique. Again, instant cast windows if that reverberation came out, but pretty clean kill, pretty quick. A lot of kills will take a little bit longer because you normally run 5 healers, but we are now down to 4. If you don't have the gear, all the gear from this boss, is a great boss to reroll, and not only does it drop Shiver Venom, which is one of our best in slot trinkets, especially for raid, and Cleave, it also drops our best in slot azerite Shoulder. So you'll definitely want to be rerolling this boss if you haven't killed it yet, or if you're farming it and don't have all the gear from it yet. But that's pretty much the guide. Again, the biggest thing I can really note on is instant cast windows are huge. It's definitely something you want to be paying attention towards, especially cooldowns. So our raid lead's calling it out most of the time. I am paying attention to it myself, and also having this fight on farm, I'm pretty used to the timings. This wasn't a perfect fight. I did end at about 48k, 48.4k, which is about, I think at the time of the kill it was a 90% parse, which is pretty good. But it could have been a little better if I was better with those timings. But I hope this guide helps, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.